I was the photographer at their wedding. 10 years later, I was the one she married. Her name was Elara. I first saw her through the lens of my camera. She was 24, and the most beautiful bride I had ever photographed. My name is Ethan. I was 32 then, a wedding photographer with a quiet, observant eye. I was a professional, a ghost in the background, but in the chaos and joy of that day, I found myself drawn to her. Not just to her beauty, but to the profound, incandescent joy that radiated from her. The day was a perfect blur of white lace and laughter. The groom, Tom, a handsome, jovial man, was everything a bride could want. He was attentive, loving, and completely smitten with Elara. I, a silent observer, captured every moment of their love story. The way he looked at her, the way she looked at him, the way they held hands, the way they kissed. It was a perfect, beautiful love story. But in the quiet moments, in the moments where she thought no one was watching, I saw something else. A flicker of doubt in her eyes. A fleeting moment of sadness. I was a professional. I was a ghost. But in my quiet, observant way, I was also falling in love with a woman I couldn't have. I edited the photos, a meticulous, loving process. I spent hours on her face, on her smile, on the way her eyes held a profound, unspoken secret. I delivered the photos, a beautiful, tangible testament to a love story that was not mine. I didn't see them again. I went back to my life, a life of weddings, of couples, of love stories that were not mine. But she stayed with me, a beautiful, haunting memory. My life went on. I met other women, had other relationships. But no one was Elara. No one had that same incandescent joy, that same quiet, unspoken sadness. I was a man haunted by a ghost, a woman I had met for a single day, a woman I had captured through my lens, a woman who was a beautiful, painful memory. 10 years passed, a decade of my life, a decade of my work. I was a successful photographer, a man who had made a name for himself. But I was also a man who was alone. I was 42, a man who was haunted by a ghost, a woman who was a perfect, beautiful memory. Then, I got a call. A woman's voice, thick with a profound, unending sorrow. It was Elara's best friend, Sarah. Ethan, she said, her voice a low, somber murmur. Do you remember Elara? Elara and Tom's wedding? I did. How could I forget? She needs a photographer. She needs someone to take a new picture. A new picture of a new life. I didn't ask what happened. I didn't need to. Her voice, her profound, unending sorrow, told me everything. I knew the perfect, beautiful love story I had captured 10 years ago was over. I knew the beautiful, perfect life I had imagined for her had shattered. I knew she was a ghost, a woman with a profound, unending grief. I went to her. She was a different woman. The beautiful, incandescent joy woman I had photographed 10 years ago was a ghost, unending sadness, a woman consumed by grief that was a physical thing. She was 34, and she was a widow. Tom, her husband, the man she had loved, the man I had photographed, was gone. A sudden, unexpected heart attack. I didn't just take pictures. I became a friend. I listened to her. I let her talk about her grief, her profound, unending sorrow. I let her talk about Tom, the love of her life, the man she had lost. I was a ghost, a silent, comforting presence in her life. I didn't try to fill the void. I just sat in the quiet with her. I just let her grieve. I, the quiet, observant photographer, was now a man who was a part of her life, a man who was a silent, comforting presence in her profound, unending grief. My love for her, which had been a silent, unspoken thing for a decade, was now a tangible, living presence. Over the next few years, her grief started to subside. The profound, unending sadness was replaced by quiet, subdued joy. She started to live again. She started to laugh again. She started to be the woman I had photographed 10 years ago. We fell in love, a quiet, gentle love, a love built on a foundation of a profound, unending sorrow, but a love that was also a profound, unending joy. We were two broken people, two people who had lost a piece of themselves, but who had found a new, beautiful beginning in each other. My love for her was not the same as his. It wasn't the dramatic, all-consuming, all-encompassing love I had captured through my lens 10 years ago. It was a different kind of love, a quiet, gentle, profound love, a love built on a foundation of respect, of kindness, of a shared grief. A love that was a testament to a life that was taken, and a life that was saved. One night, as we were sitting on the couch, watching a movie, she looked at me, a profound, thoughtful look in her eyes. Ethan, she said, her voice a low, gentle murmur. Do you remember my wedding? My wedding with Tom? I did. How could I forget? I was so happy that day, she said, her voice a whisper. I was so in love. My heart, which had been so full of a profound, unending joy, suddenly felt a pang of a familiar, unspoken sadness. I know, I said, my voice a low, gentle murmur. I was there. I saw it. It was a beautiful love story. She looked at me, a sad, profound smile on her face. You know, she said, I looked at your wedding photos. My wedding photos. And I saw something. I saw a man who was a ghost in the background. A man who was a silent, comforting presence. A man who was falling in love with a woman he couldn't have. My heart, which had been so full of a profound, unending joy, suddenly felt a profound, unending sorrow. She knew. She had known all along. She had seen it in the photos, the quiet, unspoken love that I had for her. She had seen it in the way I had edited the photos, the way I had spent hours on her face, on her smile, on the way her eyes held a profound, unspoken secret. I was a ghost, I said, my voice a low, hoarse whisper. I was a professional. I was just doing my job. She shook her head, a sad, profound smile on her face. No, Ethan, she said, her voice a low, gentle murmur. You were falling in love, and I, in my own way, was falling in love with you. My world which had been a beautiful, a perfect, a joyous, and a profound love story, suddenly felt a tiny, fragile spark of a profound, unending hope. She had loved me all along. A ghost in the background, a silent, comforting presence. A man who was a part of a love story that was not his, but who, in a strange, beautiful, and profound way, had become a part of a love story that was. We got married. A quiet, simple ceremony. Just us and a few close friends. No white dress, no big reception, no grand celebration. Just two people, two broken people, two people who had lost a piece of themselves, but who had found a new, beautiful beginning in each other. I, the quiet, observant photographer, was now a husband. A husband who had a wife who was a ghost, a wife who was a beautiful, living, breathing presence in a world that had felt so empty without her. I was a man who had a love story that was a testament to a life that was taken, and a life that was saved. And sometimes, when I'm alone, I look at our old wedding photos. The photos of her and Tom. The photos of a perfect, beautiful love story. And I see a different story. I see a story of a woman who was happy, who was in love, but also, a woman who was afraid. A woman who was hiding a secret that would eventually take her life, but a secret that would also, in a strange, beautiful, and profound way, lead her to me. I was the photographer at their wedding. 10 years later, I was the one she married. And in that time, in that decade of silence, of sorrow, of profound, unending grief, we found a love that was a testament to a life that was taken, and a life that was saved. A love that was a quiet, gentle, profound love. A love that was a testament to a life that was a beautiful, painful memory, and a life that was a beautiful, joyous, and profound reality.